So Iron Man follows Tony Stark, heir of a massive weapons manufacturing company who doesn't take anything seriously. He took over the company from this guy, Obadiah, who was in charge of it after Tony's dad died until Tony was old enough to do it himself. Tony decides to go to Afghanistan to give a demonstration of his new Jericho missile to the US Army that he's trying to get them to buy. While they're there, the van gets attacked and Tony gets blown up by his own missile. He wakes up in a cave with this guy, Yinsen, who put a magnet hooked to a car battery in his chest to keep a bunch of shrapnel from the missile out of his heart. They are being held captive by a group called the Ten Rings. They want Tony to build them a Jericho missile, using materials from all of the Stark weapons they already have en masse. Tony agrees so they don't kill him, but instead builds a mini arc reactor to replace the magnet car battery rig in his chest and to power this thing. The two of them make and execute an escape plan, but they don't have quite enough time for the suit to boot up, so Yinsen buys more time by sacrificing himself so Tony can get away. Tony torches everything on his way out before flying away and crash lands in the desert. Some helicopters fly over and find him and bring him home after 3 months of being in the cave. Instead of going to the hospital, Tony calls for a press conference. Before it starts, this guy, Agent Coulson, tries to talk to Pepper about having a meeting with Tony to talk about the circumstances surrounding his escape. That comes up later. The purpose of the press conference is to announce that Stark Industries will be shutting down their weapons manufacturing division immediately. This causes a general uproar, but Obadiah is especially upset. Tony tells him that he wants to focus on arc reactor technology and shows him the one in his chest. This makes Obadiah very happy. Back in the workshop, Tony gets Pepper to help switch out the reactor in his chest, then goes to talk to Rhodey. He tries to tell him about the new project he's working on, but Rhodey doesn't listen because it's not for the military. Back in the desert, the bad guys find the destroyed suit. Tony starts trying to build the new project, but he tells Jarvis, the semi-sentient program that runs the house, to keep it in his private servers because he doesn't know who to trust and doesn't want it in the wrong hands. A while later, Obadiah shows up to talk to him about a board of directors meeting that just happened. It turns out that the board decided to file an injunction against Tony and are locking him out of the company. Tony just leaves and goes back to the workshop where we get a montage of him trying to get the new suit to work. He gets it to be able to fly, so takes it for a spin without any of the precautionary analysis Jarvis wants to do. He then finds out the hard way that going too high causes ice buildup and makes the suit crash. Tony is working on the icing problem with Jarvis when a news broadcast on his TV starts talking about an event that is supposed to be his that he wasn't invited to, so he decides to go anyway. While he's there, Coulson tries to talk to him again and sets an appointment that Tony isn't paying attention to. Him and Pepper have an "oh no, do we like each other" moment, so he leaves to clear his head. That's when he's confronted by this reporter lady about his weapons being used in a terrorist attack on a town called Gulmira, which is the same town Yinsen is from. She shows him pictures that were taken the day before, and the people in them with his weapons are the same people who captured him. He's furious that there is double dealing going on, so he confronts Obadiah about it. Obadiah doesn't confirm that he approved it, but he heavily implies it, and says that he's the one who filed the injunction and locked Tony out. Tony decides to deal with the situation himself, so he uses the new suit to save the refugees, then destroys all of the Stark weapons the Ten Rings has there. This alerts the US military, so they send planes to first investigate and then to shoot him down. This doesn't work, but it is how Rhodey finds out Tony has the suit, because he gets suspicious that it might be Tony's tech, so calls him when the planes are chasing him. Back with the villains, it turns out that Obadiah is the one who hired the Ten Rings to kill Tony. He uses this weird noise tech thing to temporarily paralyze the leader, then takes the suit they recovered and kills the other ring members present. Tony gets Pepper to hack into the mainframe at his office and download the recent shipping files to find where his weapons are so he can go destroy them. She does this, and in the process finds the video the Ten Rings sent to Obadiah telling him that if he wants them to kill Stark, he's going to have to pay them a lot more than what he did initially. She downloads that too, then has a run-in with Obadiah. He seemingly doesn't suspect anything when she's there, but after she leaves, he sees what she was doing. Thankfully, Coulson is there for his meeting he set, so he gets him to follow her and tells him everything she just found out. Obadiah goes to his people who are trying to make a mini arc reactor to power the suit that they stole, and is really pissed when they tell him that they can't do it. So he goes to Tony's and paralyzes him with the same thing he used on the Ten Rings leader, then just takes the one out of Tony's chest. Pepper calls Rhodey to tell him what she just found out, and that she can't get a hold of Tony. Thankfully, Rhodey gets there before Tony dies, and puts the reactor from the cave into Tony. Tony immediately gets the suit on and goes to the Stark Industries headquarters, where both Obadiah and Pepper are. Tony and Obadiah have a boss fight that results in them both crash landing on the roof, so Tony gets Pepper to overload the big reactor. This fries Obadiah, but somehow leaves Tony perfectly fine. The next day, they have a press conference intended to deliver a cover story and an alibi that puts Tony far away from the incident, as long as Tony sticks to the cards. Tony does not stick to the cards, and instead decides to tell the entire world that he is in fact Iron Man. Tony gets home that night to find this guy, Nick Fury, and the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. in his home. He tells Tony that he's not the only superhero in the world and wants to talk to him about something called the Avengers Initiative. So yeah, that's Iron Man.